Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Society and this celebration of the winter solstice. My name is Kelly Crocker and I am one of the ministers here. Today I'm joined by my colleague, the Reverend Kelly Asprooth-Jackson, and the worship team of Drew Collins, Linda Warren, Stephen Gregorius, and Daniel Carnes. A very special thank you to our Solstice Harp Ensemble and Todd Hams for the beautiful music this morning. At First Unitarian Society, we question boldly, listen humbly, grow spiritually, act courageously, and love unapologetically. If you're visiting us today, welcome. We are so very glad that you are with us. If you would like more information about our activities and programs, please stop by the welcome table located in the Commons to your right next to the elevator. We hope you will be able to stay and join us for coffee hour immediately after service, also in the Commons. And for those of you connecting with us virtually today, we are glad that you are with us as well. We hope that you will be able to watch the announcement slides shown again after today's service to find out more about what's happening at First Unitarian Society. One reminder, you can find all the information for our Christmas Eve services online at fusmadison.org. You will see the times and the descriptions for our 4 Christmas Eve celebrations. And then next Sunday, the 29th, there will be one service here in the atrium at 10 a.m. And now, I invite you to join me in a moment of silence as we center ourselves and bring ourselves fully into this time, joining together once again in community.
In this season of long nights and afternoon twilight, we look for peacefulness in the familiar rhythms of earth and air, the turning that is the solstice, the gentleness of the winter's dark.
In this season of rest, we remember the seeds that depend on the darkness of earth, the trees dormant and animals hibernating, the nurturing redemption of this time of year, and we honor the darkness.
In this season of cold, we reach out to each other in community and connection, reminded time and again that we need one another in labor and in laughter, as hands and as spirits in hope and in help.
May this be for us a season of song, of spirit, of gifts unsought and unexpected, of renewal, of love, and of sacred wonder. And we invite you now to rise in all the ways we do, joining together in our words of affirmation as we light our chalice. We light this chalice here in the darkness of winter as we wait. This temporary space is one filled with prayers to be answered, love to be given and received, miracles to be witnessed. May this light guide us until the light of the sun returns again.
Our opening hymn is not in the hymnal, it's only on your screen. Round and round the earth is turning. We'll sing it once through, since it could be sung as a round. We'll sing it one time through the entire thing, and then we'll have this half go first, this half go second, and we'll do that 2 times through. All together. Round and round the earth is turning, turning always round till morning.
Well, now I would like to invite forward anybody who'd like to come up and join me for a story today. Hello. Hi there. It's good to be with you this morning. I'm standing instead of sitting, and I'm in a little bit of a different place today, right? Do you know why that is? Because I didn't think about the blocking for this part of the service when I set up the greens. That's why. So it's a little bit different day today, right? With among other things, this little display at the front of the stage is one piece of evidence of that, because today we are celebrating that it's the solstice weekend. Solstice was technically yesterday, in fact. And the winter solstice is the time when the days are the shortest, the nights are the longest. And so a lot of different people in a lot of different places and times have had stories that are about the idea of the sun going away, because it's the time of year when the sun is less and less present, less and less time of day, more and more time at night. So this is one of those stories. This story is from the Shinto tradition, which is the ancient religion of Japan. And it's about Amaterasu, who is the greatest goddess, the greatest divine being in the Shinto tradition. She is the goddess of the sun. It's about her and her little brother, who is Usano-o. He is like the god of thunder. He's also kind of the god of being angry about things. And so it starts with the two of them. So, like I said, he's her little brother. Is anybody here a little sibling? You have an older sibling of some kind? Yeah. Have you ever had this experience where you really want their attention and they just won't give it to you? Ever had that? Or maybe even if you're not a little sibling, you've had that experience with someone else in your life. You really want them to pay attention. You really want them to listen to what you're saying, focus on what you're doing, and they just won't do it. Familiar? So that was the case with Usano-o. He really wanted Amaterasu to pay attention to him, so he destroyed all of her rice fields. Like, just wrecked them. But she had a very calm, differentiated response. She didn't get upset. She didn't get focused on him. She just let him go about what he was doing, even though he had completely destroyed her rice fields. Yes. Exactly. She just ignored him even more. It didn't work. So you know what he did next? He ruined her house. Like, made just a total mess of the entire place. And she still kept ignoring him. She still said, oh, just let him go about what he's doing. Not going to pay any attention. So finally, you know what he did? Well, he picked up a horse, first of all. And I want you to take this lesson from me. Don't do this, okay? If you get upset with your sibling, if you want their attention, please don't pick up a horse and throw it into their house, because that's what he did next. So finally, the horse was the last straw. And so Amaterasu got very upset, but instead of turning in anger or resentment at her brother, she went to a cave in the mountains. And she rolled a rock over the mouth of it. And she's the greatest god in the Shinto tradition. So she was so powerful, once she put the rock there, no one else could move it. And then she just hid in the cave, covered her face. So this is a problem, right? Because she's not just any old person, she's the sun. So now the sun was lost, and everybody on the earth was upset, and all of the other gods were upset. And they said, what are we going to do? There's no sun, there's no light, there's no heat. This is a problem. So they went to the cave. And the first idea they had was they got all of the roosters in the whole world, and they got them all in front of the cave, and they had them all crow at the same time, right? Like, cock-a-doodle-doo! Can you help me with that? Cock-a-doodle-doo! Right? It was loud, it was noisy, but she didn't come out. Then they got this idea that they were going to make something really beautiful and interesting and surprising and tell her that it was out there and get her to come out to see what it was. So they got an evergreen tree and they put it in front of the mouth of the cave and they decorated it with beautiful jewels and garlands and paper streamers, and they got a great big mirror and they put it in front, like on top of the tree, because it caught light from the moon and the stars and shined towards the mouth of the cave. And you're probably asking yourself, why is there a Christmas tree in the middle of my Japanese story? But actually, I looked this up. This story is much older than Christmas trees are. So it turns out that they had the idea first. Yes. Well, yeah, maybe she'd be curious, right? Maybe she'd want to see. And they called out to say there was something really interesting happening, but she didn't come out. So finally, last chance, right? One of the goddesses, this is actually, so her name is Ame no Nezume no Mikoto. Ame no Nezume no Mikoto. She's the goddess of, among other things, parties. So, she sounds like a pretty good time. And she got the idea to start dancing. And I mean like really dancing, just like really feeling the music, not caring if anyone was watching, not caring that her cultural reference was badly outdated and no one any more than 5 years in either direction was going to appreciate it, just really, really dancing. And she danced so hard and so excitedly that everybody else started dancing too. And there's a saying in the Shinto tradition that there are 8 million gods. And that's not because there are exactly 8 million, it's because there are so many that there's no point in even trying to count them. So you gotta imagine, so many gods that you couldn't even count them, all outside of the cave, and they're all dancing. And they were making such a great noise that now Amaterasu had to see what the noise was all about. So she rolled the boulder back, she looked out, and what did she see? Everyone was dancing, and dancing with great abandon, right? Dancing in such a way that they didn't care what they were doing, they didn't care who saw them. And so she laughed, because it was funny. And when she laughed, the sun came back into the world. So that's my story about Amaterasu in the cave. Thank you so much for listening to it. And now we are going to sing you to your classes. Another story, actually.
Oh, you can make the world so bright, and you can turn the day from night, and share your gifts and spread your light, and the world I invite you to rise again in body and or in spirit so we can sing hymn number 55 in the gray hymnal, Dark of Winter.
Daniel Gregor took as his inspiration for these reflections from a solstice poem by Margaret Atwood. This is the solstice, the still point of the sun, its cusp and midnight, the year's threshold unlocking, where the past lets go of and becomes the future. He writes, here we are at the winter solstice when the light comes back. To celebrate, I went to the discount store in search of inexpensive picture frames. I felt the urge to use what I have in the way of old photographs and glitter glue for some higher and greater purpose. So off I went to buy the most perfect plastic frames for $2.99. As I made my way to pay the cashier, an older man, he looked at me and my frames and knowingly exhaled. Ah, he said, this is the time for reflection. Apparently, I was not the first or only person to feel nostalgic and buy many picture frames near the end of the year. We then engaged in small talk about Christmas and the state of the world. He lamented, and I tried to cheer him up. But both of our flames seemed to be flickering in the cold winds of coming winter. It doesn't help that on the eve of winter, the days are so painfully short. The nights are relentless, and they keep coming earlier. But then the winter solstice arrives, and although it is the official start of winter, it comes as a brief reprieve from the growing night and a hopeful signpost. I need the solstice and all it represents. A threshold, the closing of a chapter, the start to sunlight timidly warming our cold and frost-bitten souls. Winter solstice neatly coincides with our collective desire for a break in time to unlock and review the past as we look to the light of the future. This time around, I'm greeting the solstice with craft, using my old photographs and reframing the past with some bright artistic flourishes courtesy of glitter glue. I am making the most of this unique astronomical time, perhaps not unlike the ancient peoples of Europe who gathered breathlessly around bonfires and hearths for warmth to celebrate the new thing that is just on the horizon, growing light, the end of night's dominion, even in the midst of cold. The end can be a beginning, too, and the solstice is where we can start. It's not as comfortable as it looks. We're going to do this without me dropping it off my hand. The story is told that in the beginning there were two gods who were brothers. And like many brothers, they struggled with each other for ascendance and power. One brother was the king of the forces of life, light, and warmth. He wore a crown made of green oak branches and brought with him all growth and vitality, fertility and abundance. He was called the Oak King.
His brother was the king of the forces of death, cold, and darkness. He wore a crown made of the prickly holly branches and brought with him all withering and decay, stillness and hibernation. He was called the Holly King.
The brothers were identical in strength, and so year after year, the same pattern was repeated. Each year, the Oak King would grow strong and mighty, and during his time of dominance, the light would gradually increase, bringing with it warmth and abundance. But each year, at the height of his power, he would be thrown down by the Holly King. In the wake of the Holly King's victory, the light would gradually wane, and as it did, cold would come and the land would go dormant. But at the height of the Holly King's power, he would be challenged again by the Oak King and would fall. And the cycle would repeat again and again and again.
Alone, the brothers were equals, but soon there came a race of beings known as people. The people watched this cycle, and pretty soon they began to take sides. The people loved light and warmth, and they feared darkness and cold. And so each year they would celebrate the victory of the Oak King, but they would mourn the victory of the Holly King. When the two struggled with each other, the people would lend their strength of their voices and their bodies, their minds and their spirits to the Oak King. But the Holly King was without their support. And so time went by. Over time, the people's adoration of warmth and light only grew, and so they began to invent ever new ways to find light in the darkness and warmth in the cold. And finally, if they wished it, they could spend all of their time in the light they had created, and they could be warm all year long. But their efforts to stay always in the light and the warmth were not without consequences.
Generations passed and generations again, and the people did not at first notice the shifts in the balance. But finally, they could ignore it no longer. The people began to notice that darkness was disappearing from the land, driven out by millions of lights the people had created. Animals, birds, plants, even people began to suffer the effects of light unbalanced by darkness. But it was not just darkness that was disappearing. Cold began to flee too. The whole world began to get warmer. Summer began sooner and lasted longer. Ice that had been frozen far longer than the longest memory of the oldest person in the land began to melt. Migrating birds and animals began to be confused about when to begin the migration. Plants found themselves rooted in climates that no longer supplied their needs. The air was changing, and the winds that had brought rain and taken it away again began to flow in unexpected directions, causing drought here and flood there.
The people began to see that their support of warmth and light over cold and darkness had altered the balance of the whole world. They began, slowly, one at a time, to realize that the Holly King was dying. And for the first time, this thought filled them with fear. What would happen if the balance continued to be destroyed? Could they even survive in a world without the Holly King?
And in the world of the gods, the Oak King realized it too. And though they had been competitors all these many centuries, he also realized that he loved his brother deeply and could not live without him. The longest night came, and the Oak King and the Holly King met again. But this time, the Oak King had no heart for the fight. He laid down his sword and spear. He came open-handed to his brother, who was struggling to just stay on his feet. The Oak King wrapped the Holly King in a tight embrace, and he promised to set aside their enmity and to help his brother heal.
On the night when he usually claimed ascendance, the Oak King realized that the world was already too warm and too light. And so he laid the great oak crown on the head of his brother, took his hand, and each supporting the other, they went out into the world to see what could be done to restore balance. Maybe I should just wear this rest of the service, you know. No, I am a serious minister, that's fine. So I invite you now into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering. Our gifts from this and all the other services throughout the holiday season provide a great deal of the funding that runs Just Dane's eviction prevention program. Sometimes the difference for a family between being out on the street or staying in their home is just a little bit of help with the rent. With your help, Just Dane and Joining Forces for Families are helping people to prevent eviction and homelessness. So there are multiple ways you can contribute this morning. Baskets are now being passed here in the auditorium for cash or checks, or you can also see on the screen that you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org, and find the text to give information there as well. And a special note, along with the baskets for your cash or your checks, and thank you very much there, are some stars that are coming around. You will need those little paper stars for the ritual that is coming up shortly in the service. So please do take one. Large or small, doesn't matter. We're all stars here. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life that we create together.
We have come together this morning to join in this celebration of honoring darkness and returning light. The winter solstice is a time to gather family and friends close, to dream of what is growing within the fertile darkness and rejoice in the return of the sun. Solstice is a time of renewed hope, of imagination, and rebirth. So let us now join together in filling this sacred space with our wishes and hopes for the coming year, using our own energy, power, hope, and goodwill to encourage the light to grow within us once again. When just now during the offering you were given a paper star, we would like to invite you to reflect on what is growing within you. What dream would you like to bring to birth? What is your intention for this new year? And write that hope, prayer, wish on your star. When you're ready, please bring the star forward and place it here in our greens. And if you need a pen, please come forward. We have those up here as well. We begin this time of reflection with a prayer from Rebecca Parker. In the shadowed quiet of winter's light, earth speaks softly of her longing, because the wild places are in tears.
Come, she cries to us, kneel down here on the frosty grass and feel the prayer buried in the ground.
Bend your ear to my heart and listen hard.
Love this world, she whispers. Distill peace from the snow and water the cities with mercy.
Weave wonder from the forest and clothe grief with beauty.
Rest in the rhythm of the turning year. Trace the bending arc, rounding the curve toward justice, and vow anew to do no harm.
The winter trees stand watch, haloed in the last gleams of the slanting sun. Glory sings here, heaven echoes the call, repeat the sounding joy.
Make your life an answer. Bow, praise, rise. And now, as the music plays, we invite you to come forward, bringing with you your hopes, your dreams for this season of darkness and light. Write those on your stars and place them in the greens. Welcome Yule, welcome dreams, welcome light.
Thank you, one and all, for adding your wishes and hopes and prayers to our greens. Each week we gather, carrying in our hearts the joys and the losses of our days. We hold our own pain and celebration and those of the ones we love. We share these here knowing they are held gently in care and in support. We light a candle of sorrow for all those at Abundant Life Christian School, especially to the families of Ruby Vergara, Aaron West, and Natalie Samantha Rupnow. Once again, we join together in grief and in anger over the loss of precious lives to gun violence. We send our love and prayers for healing to the community of Abundant Life, and we pray once again for change across our nation and for all of our voices to rise up and say, not one more life. And we light a candle of love and remembrance for the life of Greg Shoup, who passed away at the age of 84 on December 4th in Argenta, Illinois. Greg was the father of Marla Shoup and the grandfather of Seth Johnson. We send our love and care to Marla and Seth as they remember Greg's life and give thanks for his love. And we light a candle of joy and celebration for Creel Ziering and Matthew Doyle Olson, who welcomed their second child, Doyle Scott Ziering, into the world on December 14th. We are so glad that you are here, and we send our love to the family, including big sister Addie. Much love to you all. And we invite you now to join us in a time of meditation with these words from Lynn Cox. We pause now as the path of the sun reverses, seemingly holding its place for a moment of turning. Let us delve into the gifts of darkness at the winter solstice. We follow curiosity and contemplation down into the cold earth, taking a journey to the world below the surface. Here we find acorns, cached by squirrels and chipmunks, perhaps to be food laid in store, or perhaps to become trees in the fullness of time. We find the burrows of hibernating animals, those who sleep and repair. We find seeds, including some that will not sprout unless they first wait through frost and ice. Life finds rest and renewal in the darkness. May those who are weary find comfort. May those who are struggling find meaning and companionship. May those who are injured or ill find recovery. May those who hunger find abundance. Let this be a time of healing, and may the dreams of the dark lead us to share these gifts with one another. Our imagination rises back to the surface, to life where the cold ground meets the crisp air. Here we observe life finding its way. We observe animals eating seeds left on the ground, though the harvest is long past. We notice the migration of birds, natural movement that allows populations to find places where they can thrive. We observe the trees that appear to sleep and yet hold sap that will rise again before the spring arrives. We observe that not everything lives through the winter, and yet all that has lived returns to the earth and is transformed. Let this be a time of resilience. May the changing seasons bring new meaning and new insights. May creativity and persistence lead us to find resources for all to share. May those who migrate find safety, and may there be good news in the wind. May transformation lead us onward. We now lift our imagination to the sky, to the returning sun, and to the brilliant winter night. Shifting hours of light and darkness remind us that change is part of the rhythm of the universe, and so trouble does not last. Acknowledging the gifts of darkness, we also look forward to the growing light, a change that brings glimmers of hope. We marvel at the beauty of this time, stars unobstructed by leaves, jewels of the night shining over the land, moon, and meteors inspiring us to awe and wonder. Let this be a time of celebration. What joy can be found? Let us hold it close, blow on its embers, and share its spark. We do not take for granted having come this far, and we give thanks for our companions on the journey. Blessed be, and amen.
Now I invite you to rise in body and/or in spirit so we can sing our closing hymn, Deck the Hall. One hall, not multiple hallways. One large room that we are decorating with boughs of holly. Deck the hall with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, fa la la la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la la la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la. Hail the newly lads and lasses, fa la. Sing we joy, song together, fa la. Heed the sound of wind and weather, fa
On these dark nights, may we observe the stars. On these long nights, may we find rest. On these days of winter, may we feel warmth. On all the days to come, may our minds see the infinity of space, may our bodies find rest, and may our spirits feel the warmth of community. May it be so. Blessed be. Go in peace. Please be seated for the postlude. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.